Hello there, we're live from our studios here in Kokomlimle on digital address GA0992539. This is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. Speaker of Parliament cautions members against abusing their immunity as contained in Articles 117, 118. More as he reminds them that the Constitution allows the courts to serve processes on MPs who are not attending to the business of Parliament. Meanwhile, minority in Parliament rallies behind embattled Bolga East MP Dominic Ayene as they demand the Chief Justice reconsiders his decision to haul him before the General Legal Council.
Petition must also be seen to be an attack on freedom of expression and is only deepening growing concern about the creeping culture of silence.
Also coming up in this bulletin, authorities of National Health Insurance condemn practice where health facilities demand of pregnant women cash for medical treatment in spite of the free maternal health care policy on the NHIS. Also coming up, Health Ministry calls for calm as it prepares to respond to allegations it is buying the Russian-made Sputnik V vaccines at almost twice the original price using middlemen with questionable pasts. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube and our social media handles. WhatsApp us on 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. You're welcome to the details. Now, the Health Ministry says it is preparing a response to allegations of irregularities raised by a Norwegian newspaper, VG, in a recent investigation. The paper alleges Ghana is buying the Russian-made Sputnik V vaccines at almost twice the original price, using middlemen who have questionable paths. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, is joining me with more on the investigative report. Hello, Fred. Hello, Fred. Fred, I think you are muted. Fred, do unmute for me and let's see if we can hear you. Let's try this again. Hello, Fred. Looks like I'm having a hard time with Fred Smith, who is going to help us understand who these middlemen pointed to in the Norwegian newspaper report are, and also what does the Ministry of Health statement say. As I said, the ministry says it has a response to these accusations, or if you like, these allegations that are coming up that shows that there is a procurement of vaccine from the Russian producers, which we're buying for at $19 instead of the $10 listed as the international price by the producers of that particular vaccine. We can try to hear Fred Smith once again. Okay, we will be hearing from Fred shortly, but the minority in Parliament is calling for a bipartisan parliamentary probe into the reports that the country is buying COVID-19 vaccines from Russia at almost 100% the original price. The ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee, Kwabena Minta Akando, alleges that some government officials are trying to profit from the COVID-19 pandemic. He says he will summon the health minister to Parliament over the revelation in the Norwegian press.
I want to satisfy myself as a ranking member and as a minority group. We have to satisfy ourselves to get to know the truth of the matter. And so we will call for the agreement, and then we will, if we are not satisfied, we will call for an independent investigation into the matter, because the minister himself is complicit in this matter. So we will call for a bipartisan investigation into this matter. And this is a very serious issue if it turns out to be true. Very, very serious matter.
Why do you say it's a very serious matter?
It's a serious matter because it borders on the health of the people. It borders on a pandemic. And it breaches most of our rules and regulations in this country. You understand? So it's not a small issue at all.
Couldn't it be that it's going for the 19 million, well, the $19 per dose instead of the $10? Probably because of the unavailability of it on the international markets.
Well, what is important is that you need to come back to Parliament to inform us, for us to agree and approve. And what we have also picked is that from the source of Sputnik vaccine, we are not supposed to sell it more than $10 per dose. That is what we are picking. And so, Joseph, let's take our time and take it one after the other and then follow this matter to the very bottom of it.
To the extent that the said-shaped individual who was allegedly involved in the Ameri deal is part of this same process which is now blowing up, how worrying otherwise is that?
You begin to shiver when you hear such names because of their records. And if you read the story even indicates that there are people who are even wanted. I don't know if you have taken your time to read the story. So there are people who are even wanted by the police in Norway.
So the question that Joseph posed to him is, what if it is because it was necessary because we do not have access to the vaccines? Even people who have money don't have access to the vaccines. What do you think? As we go to Fred Smith to give us more, WhatsApp us on 0540-109009. That's 0540-109009. Let me take you to Fred Smith, head of our health desk. Let's understand what the middlemen involved in this report are. Who they are and what the health ministry is saying. Fred, let's begin with the middlemen. Who are they? What do we know about these people?
Well, there are two men. One is the main person, which is the Sheikh Maktoum. Sheikh Maktoum, if you recollect the name, is the same person who was central to our Ameri deal, which turned out to be very controversial, was reviewed. And the other person is Pierre Morten Hansen. Pierre Morten Hansen is a man who is currently facing money laundering charges in Norway, and this relates to internet fraud. And he's alleged to have had a role in stealing money from wealthy people, some big CEOs around the world, getting them to send monies that they were not supposed to do, if you know how these internet fraudsters work. He's facing charges for that. And these are the two men who the VG newspaper is alleging that are leading the procurement, or they are actually the men getting the Sputnik V vaccines for Ghana. 3.4 million doses they are working on, because they had brought the 16,000 doses as sample, and that gave the health ministry the assurance that they could supply as many as we wanted. And so, yes, and the same offer that the newspaper is alleging, $19, that's how much they're selling to us, even though the manufacturer's recommended price is $10. The VG newspaper is alleging that a similar offer was made to South Africa, and South Africa rejected it. And so we await that statement from the health ministry, which says will be coming in sometime today, and to explain if indeed we are getting the one dose of the Sputnik V vaccine at $19 instead of $10 as prescribed by the manufacturer's giftee.
What it means, Fred, is that we have yet to cite the health ministry's response, which we believe to be contained in the statement.
Yes, indeed, Gifty. The health ministry was contacted 2 days ago about this. I personally did. There was no response. Yesterday, we made another attempt, and there was no response again. Today, they issued a statement only to announce that they were going to issue another statement and asked that the public should be patient whilst they prepare this new statement. Yesterday, the WHO had a news conference as well. At this news conference, the WHO raised concern about the activities of middlemen who are making the cost of vaccines go up in such a way that countries are finding it difficult. And if you know, many countries are actually struggling to procure or access vaccines to vaccinate their citizens. And all that Ghana has been able to do, less than 1 million doses so far for the first round, came through the COVAX platform, and then the benevolence of MTN, the network operator, which supported some African countries to where they operate to be able to improve its inoculation. So that's been the situation so far, Gitsi.
And Fred, can you give us a little bit of information, if you do have it, about what the WHO says in the spirit of the cost of vaccine and how easy it ought to be made for poorer countries, especially countries in Africa? What else does the WHO say? Does it, for example, go into details on this specific matter, or does it make a general statement about the access to COVID vaccines and the role of middlemen?
Yes, indeed. In fact, the question was very specific to this allegation that Ghana was procuring these vaccines at almost twice the recommended price. And so the WHO's response was that the COVAX platform, which is being organized by UNICEF, is the main organization that we expect to facilitate the procurement of vaccines in such a way that almost all countries will be able to get vaccines to reach their target. And if you know, Gifty, we plan to inoculate 20 million of our population. We're not at 1 million yet. That's the difficulty as we face now. So the WHO is expecting that in the interest of serving the people, let's not make it difficult for countries to procure these vaccines. Let the COVAX platform access it. But as you know, that has also proven very difficult. And so persons who have connections to manufacturers have stepped up and are offering these. And if it's going through these channels, you know the cost of freight, handling charges, and others will come in and will add to the cost. We expect, the Ministry of Health statement to indicate all of these as the reasons why they cannot sell to us at the manufacturer's price.
Fred, thank you very much. We'll look forward to that statement from the Health Ministry. Fred Smith is head of our health desk, giving us, bringing us up to speed on what's happening here. There's been procurement of some COVID-19 vaccines from Russia, the Sputnik V, and we're hearing from investigations done by journalists in Norway that we're buying those vaccines at an overpriced amount, which is from $10, which is the amount issued by the manufacturers, to $19, which is what we purchased it for. We're yet to hear from the Health Ministry, but we understand there will be a statement soon on why Ghana made that choice. Right now, I want to take you to Pig Farm, but I want to hear from you once again. I want to hear from you. Text us to 054-010-9009. I want to take you to Pig Farm. My colleague Maswal Agbagba is standing by for us. We are hearing of a broad daylight robbery that has just occurred at Pig Farm, and some people suffering from gunshot wounds. Maxwell is joining me live right now. Hello, Maxwell.
Yeah, hello, Gipsy.
Oh, what is happening now? Tell us.
Well, we understand that just about an hour ago, two men on a motorbike pursued another man who was also on a motorbike, had a backpack behind him, pursued him to this point here, very close to the Pig Farm roundabout. We are told when they got to this spot, that was the point when the men who were on a sports bike accosted him and tried taking his bag from him. We are told that he resisted, and at that point, the two men who were on a motorbike fired about 5 warning shots here at the Peg Farm roundabout, which scared a lot of people. And then they followed up with another gunshot. We are told that hit the belly of the man that they were pursuing. At that point, they were able to overpower him, and we are told they took away his bag. We are told by eyewitnesses contained, some money. So if you come here to the Pig Farm roundabout, the blood is still splattered on the road here. At this point, we have a man who we suspect to be from the investigation unit of the Ghana Police Service, also here taking some details. We are told that the police came to the ground just about 30 minutes after the incident happened. They also tried to follow up on the incident, but they were unable to arrest the perpetrators. 2 men who were on a motorbike also tried to pursue the robbers, but they were unable to arrest them. Let me speak to a man who was here when the incident happened. I don't want you to show your face. Share me. What exactly happened here?
Please, we are here. So I finished eating here, and I saw some 2 motorbikes coming from top. So I thought sometimes they have some they are gas, pow. So I thought is their gas. So they came and stand here, and the 2 guys were trying to pull the bag out of the guy, and the guy resisted, and he said no. So immediately the guy jumped from his motor and removed the bag out of his bag and opened the bag for them to see, and then they did not understand it, and they shoot the guy and they take the bag away.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they took the bag away.
Okay.
Yeah. So later on, some man came and used a Uber driver came and picked the guy, and they went to hospital.
Okay. So they fired warning shots before shooting the man and taking.
Yes. Yeah. They are trying to fire the tie, the motor tie.
But this is a very busy stretch. What was happening? I mean, the bystanders, nobody could help.
No. By that time, it seems there was only 2 cars. So they immediately, the time they were coming, no car. But immediately they come and stand here, and they were, fighting, want to take the bag. So the 2 cars, they came and parked here, and the other motors. So immediately they fired, the guy finished. The guy was lying there while the cars were passing, and the guy was lying there.
And nobody helped?
No, nobody helped. 1 man using a Uber car, shouting that the motor drivers should change the armed robbers. And he passed here and come and pick the guy and send him to hospital.
So at what point did the police arrive here on the scene?
It took almost a few minutes before they came, because by that time we sent the guy before the police came.
So you were part of the team that sent him to the hospital?
No. We are just here, so we just helped, and they sent the guy, and we just.
Okay, sure. Thanks for talking to us. Can we talk to you, sir? Okay. I don't want you to show your face. I don't want to show your face.
No, we give you your number.
Come. Okay, so tell me, where are you from?
You give me your number.
Are you an eyewitness?
Yeah, no, I'm an investigator.
You're an investigator?
Give me your number.
Okay. He says he's an investigator. The gentleman we're speaking to right now. He says he's an investigator. He's not able to talk to us. But Gifty, if you come here, it is a busy stretch. We'll let our camera technician pan so you can see how busy this place is. All of these people were here. The hawkers were also here when the incident happened. We've seen another police officer arriving here on the ground with the investigator. Understand that investigations would start right at this point to unravel the mystery behind this daylight robbery, Gifty. But speaking to some of the hawkers here and the people who work at the gas station here, many of them are terrified about the situation. They say they've never seen anything happen around this time in this busy area like this before. Many of them said they were helpless because the robbers actually had guns, and they had a sports bike which enabled them to escape from the scene really fast. So as it stands now, investigations will start right at this point here, Gifty.
Maxwell, let's see if we can get more information from the officers who have just arrived behind you at this point. Not immediately afterwards. Certainly they won't be, probably don't have the clearance to speak to you at the moment, but they will be able to give us information as to which station, for example, this matter ought to be reported to, etc. Maxwell, let me leave you to deal with what you ought to deal with on the ground at the moment. Thank you very much for the details. Maxwell Agbagba, they're joining me from Pig Farm, where we understand that one person has been shot. We don't know his whereabouts, but as we heard from the eyewitnesses, an Uber or a vehicle came by to pick the person up, the injured person up, to take the person to hospital. We do not know which hospital they have gone to. We do not know what state the person is in at the moment, but we understand there was a shot. The shot was to his rib. And those who sell at this particular junction are talking about the fear that this incident has created. As you saw, there was a man there who says he's an investigator who was, interacting with another police officer who had just arrived. We'll keep our eyes on it and update you. Now, the opposition NDC has described as unfortunate the decision of the Supreme Court Judge Clement Honyanuga not to recuse himself from criminal trial of former Cocoa Board CEO Dr. Stephen Opuni, despite allegations of bias. Justice Honyanuga is hearing the matter as an additional High Court judge. Dr. Opuni is accused of causing financial loss to the state and has been standing trial since 2017. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was in court as Justice Honyanuga dismissed this request. Here is his report.
This is the second time Dr. Opuni has filed such an application asking the judge to recuse himself from the trial. The first one was filed in March 2020 on the ground that the trial judge had openly campaigned for President Akufo-Addo for saying at a national program where the judge is a paramount chief that the current president has done well with the free senior high school program. The court dismissed that application. Lawyers for Dr. Opuni renewed their attempt to get Justice Honyanuga off the case after the judge held that the prosecution has been able to establish that Dr. Opuni has a case to respond to. The lawyers allege bias on the part of the trial judge, stating Dr. Opuni may not be given adequate time to defend himself before the court and will not get a fair trial. He argued that after dismissing the submission of no case on May 7, 2021, the judge adjourned the matter to May 17 for him to open his defense instead of 2 weeks requested by his lawyers to adequately prepare him to open his defense. Justice Honyanuga dismissed the application, saying it was made in bad faith. The opposition NDC, Sami Jemfi, says the decision is unfortunate.
Look at the kind of statements, definite statements. I heard in court the prosecution saying that, the judge is entitled to make statements on whether or not the prosecution has established the ingredients of the offense for which the accused persons have been charged. But if you look at the statements, in my humble opinion, I agree with the prosecution with the accused persons that these statements went beyond the ingredients, and bordered on determination of facts, which, like I've said, gives all of us genuine cause for concern, that the accused persons may not have a fair hearing. The judge has ruled, but that decision is appealable.
The case has been adjourned to June 14, where Dr. Opuni is expected to open his defense.
Joseph Akable with that report. What are your thoughts on all of these stories that you've heard so far, especially about the purchase of the Sputnik V vaccines? Let's hear you. The number is 0540-109-009. We're back after this. Do stay with us. You're welcome back. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has cautioned members of Parliament their immunity as contained in Articles 117 and 118 of the Constitution are not absolute. He says the Constitution allows the courts to serve court processes on MPs who are not attending to the business of Parliament. In a formal communication to MPs earlier today, Mr. Bagbin disclosed it has come to his attention that some MPs during recess, when they were not engaged in business of the House, evaded attempts by court officials to serve processes on them. He says that should not be the case and is calling for mutual respect between the legislature and the judiciary.
Honourable members, I urge you all to accord the members of the Judicial and the Judicial Service the utmost respect, decency, and decorum they deserve. It has taken a long period of history. It has taken experiential learning, which was full of lessons and effort to achieve a cordial and harmonious relationship between the judiciary and the legislature. We should not treasure that cordial relationship. We should treasure that cordial relationship and desist from jeopardizing it with actions or inactions which are not well thought through. And the last, I trust that this statement provides a guide to ensure that these peculiar rights enjoyed by the House collectively and by members individually, as stated in the Constitution, are respected and due care is taken not to impede or obstruct the administration of justice in the Republic. Judges and judicial officers must be free to administer justice without let or hindrance, ill will, or affection. I want to thank honorable members for your attention, but I have taken time to state these principles in consultation with the judiciary. And I want this to be given the highest publication for the guidance of the public, and particularly the police service, as to how to conduct their activities when it comes to members of Parliament. As I sit here, I gathered information that some members were arrested, were prosecuted, and they are before court without any notice to the Speaker. This cannot continue. Even when a member is alleged to have committed an offense and being investigated, the Speaker must be given notice. Because some of the rights that we have are termed immunities, and those immunities are absolute. For example, in Parliament here, during the course of plenary, whatever you say here is absolutely protected by law.
Well, let's go to Parliament. My colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is joining us with more of what's been happening in the House. Joseph, let's begin with what really necessitated this statement by the Speaker.
Gifty, from the explanation that Speaker Alban Bagbin gives, he says that earlier in the year, his attention was drawn to what he sees as a breach of constitutional provisions when it comes to the protection of members of Parliament, in specific reference to Articles 117 and 118 of the Constitution, which is quite categorical that when it comes to situations having to do with court processes that should be served on members of Parliament, that provision in Article 117 is emphatic that civil or criminal processes coming from any court or out of Parliament shall not be served on or executed in relation to the Speaker of Parliament or the Clerk of Parliament while he's on his way to attending at or returning from any proceedings of Parliament. He says that he had observed that this constitutional provision had been breached repeatedly, and some MPs are standing trial in courts when the Speaker's office is unaware, and the police are prosecuting some members of Parliament when the Speaker is unaware. And so he explains in this formal communication he gave members of Parliament earlier today that back in February, he wrote specifically to the Chief Justice expressing that concern and demanding an end to what he said was the breach of the Constitution. And he explains that the judiciary, in response to his letter, admitted that there's been situations that various court officials had not acted appropriately. And so then a conversation began between the judiciary and the executive to remedy this particular situation. And as a result of that, he's come out with an 11-point guideline, which was actually drawn in collaboration with the judiciary on how any court processes involving members of parliament should actually be undertaken. And so he took advantage of today's sitting to then read out that said guideline to members of parliament, which he says the judiciary is now aware of and they will be complying with going forward. So out of the blues, he just indicated that he had a formal communication that he needed to deliver to members of parliament, and then he went ahead to read that particular communication.
So Joseph, he talks about what he heard recently about some members of parliament who have been arrested, but do we know who these members of parliament are? Does he give any indication, or do we have an idea who falls within this particular category?
And so, Gifty, this is actually a directive that mainly covers the court if they would want to serve processes on members of parliament, the clerk of parliament, or the speaker himself. And let me just go through the specifics of what the speaker says should be the way forward now. He makes the point that when parliament is in session, there is actually the presumption that normal business is happening. And so any time when parliament has not gone on recess or break, you can't serve any court processes on a member of parliament or the speaker or the clerk of parliament without first seeking the express permission of the speaker. Again, when we have a situation where a member of parliament is coming to parliament, you can't serve the said processes on him without recourse to the speaker. Now, when parliament is on recess, then you can't go ahead and the communication now says that when parliament is on recess or the house is on break, you can serve processes on him once he is actually not involved in any committee meeting or he is not on the premises of parliament. That's the other indication that's coming from the speaker. And then the speaker then goes on to say that where a member is attending to business of parliament, such as committee meetings or activity during the recess period, and the member is served with any court processes, he is supposed to direct those processes to the speaker. He's not supposed to deal with it himself. And then the speaker goes on to then explain that even beyond that, when eventually the said member of parliament enters a response to whatever service, then we would have the situation where the case has begun, and so all these immunities have been waged. So that's the explanation that the speaker has been giving members of parliament today, and he's been urging them to respect those processes so that then there is no tension between the courts and parliament as an institution.
Well, Joseph, the minority in parliament have also been speaking. They're urging the Chief Justice to reconsider his referral of Bolgatanga East MP Dr. Dominic Ayene to the General Legal Council. We know that they've been addressing a press briefing in Parliament House. Joseph, let's hear them, and then I'll come to you and we wrap it up from there.
Our attempt has been drawn to an invitation originating from the Office of the Judicial Secretary, requesting the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council to investigate alleged statements made by the Honorable Dominic Ayene, the NDC Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga East Constituency, and Chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, and former Deputy General and Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, over some comments the Honorable Member is alleged to have made at a panel discussion hosted by a civil society group, the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, on the theme Presidential Election Petitions and their impact on Africa's democracy. We understand that the Chief Justice's petition is based, in our view, on hearsay. It states his attention has been drawn to statements allegedly made by Dr. Dominic Ayene during a panel discussion on presidential election petition and their impact on Africa's democracy. He submits a Joy FM report of the panel discussion. That's the very reason why I've described it as something based on hearsay. The chairman of the General Legal Council, who is also the chairman of the Judicial Council and head of the Judicial Service, an organ of state, in our view, has already determined that the comments are totally unacceptable and wants the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council to investigate it further. It is against this background that we in the minority find the invitation to be in utter bad faith and meant to be an attack on free speech on Parliament as an institution and also as an affront to democratic and academic freedom. This invitation must also be seen to be an attack on freedom of expression and is only deepening growing concern about the creeping culture of silence in our country, which is gradually lingering its ugly head on our democratic dispensation, and therefore a grave threat to the sustenance of democracy in our country.
That's Haruna Idrisu there. Joseph, let me come to you. They've made their point clear. Was there any reaction from the other side in Parliament?
We're waiting to get those specific reactions from the other side in Parliament. Conspicuously missing from this briefing was Dr. Dominic Ayene himself, who is a member on the minority side, and looks like it's an advocacy that, at least on the minority side, they're all backing it, that the Chief Justice reconsiders, even in the light of the concerns they're raising, that it amounts virtually to the said claim of culture of silence creeping in.
And Dominic Ayene himself wasn't there, you say. Was he there, you know, previously? I mean, in the past week, has he been there? And if he has, what has been his demeanor? Is this something that people discuss in Parliament?
I spotted him around 2 days ago, right here in Parliament House. Since then, I'm yet to set eyes on him here in Parliament House. And the indication that's coming from other colleagues on the minority side is that he's doing fine. And according to some of his colleague MPs that I've spoken to, even if the decision is taken by the Chief Justice and the General Legal Council, that they'll go ahead with these processes as far as the disciplinary committee is concerned, he will be ready to then offer the necessary responses to these issues that have been raised. And so his colleagues of the briefing indicate that he has a very robust defense of the comments that he made, which he will be ready and willing to offer if it becomes necessary that he appear before the disciplinary committee.
Joseph, what else can you update us on as far as event in Parliament today?
Briefly on that, Gifty, 4 deputy minister designates, including Alhassan Tampoli, who is headed to the Transport Ministry, have appeared before the Appointment Committee of Parliament and have been vetted. He responded to questions having to do with the transport sector generally, including efforts to procure more buses for Metro Mars, and he defended how come he continued to serve in office as CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, even after he had been sworn in as a member of Parliament, and indicated that he earned no emoluments for that particular duration. Tomorrow, another 4 are expected to appear before the committee. But the Minister for Agric has also been in Parliament explaining that government is on course with its cocoa rehabilitation project.
Interesting. Well, Joseph, I guess we'll leave it there for now, and we'll get more subsequently. Okay. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, joining me all the way from Parliament with that one. Now, 4 people have died in a head-on collision at Konkoli near Trede in the Ashanti region on Tuesday. A truck carting timber logs lost balance, running into another vehicle transporting cattle. Driver of the vehicle carrying the cattle and his assistant and 2 others on the timber truck died. Nanaya Ojima has more.
According to an eyewitness, the timber truck was speeding from Trede Junction, about a kilometer away from the accident scene. The driver lost control after failing to overtake a Kia truck, leading to collision with the cattle truck. Nana Kofi Abochi Ado explains. The truck carrying timber overtook us along the road. We tried warning him, but he would not listen. All we saw was him moving out of his lane and ran into another car. Both vehicles were mangled, trapping some of the deceased. Personnel from the police and fire service intervened to retrieve bodies from the vehicle. 2 others are in critical conditions, receiving treatment at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital. Brother of the driver of the vehicle transporting cattle, Daniel Ando, was at the scene this morning. He is confused about the death of his brother.
Now, call about my phone to say, when I walk on now, woman, I
had a call informing me everyone on the vehicle is dead. I couldn't believe it. I had spoken to them a few minutes ago. I went to the hospital and it was confirmed 2 had died. 9 cattle also died and 3 are missing. Owner of the cattle, Sofo Alexis, says his wife prevented him from joining the cargo vehicle.
And then the person who is also taking care of my animals, who's at the back, normally we have to pick somebody to be checking on them. That person also is in the emergency, is in critical condition. Approximately a car is costing about 6,000 plus. There's 1.5 more than 8,000, and that one 2 died. So you'll be having almost 60,000. Yeah, almost.
On the same stretch, another accident happened at Kwauma. 2 hours after the Konkoli incident, which claimed 4 lives, this fuel tanker you see behind me skidded off the road and drove into the ditch here. Now, the reason for this accident is still unknown. Police has commenced investigation into the matter. Now, unfortunately, the people who work at this side of the road had closed when the incident happened, so no life or injury was recorded. But now we can see the police here trying to tow the vehicle from the road. The people continue to ask, for how long would they record such incidents? For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Nanaya Ojima with that report. A ruling by a Kumasi High Court on the deportation of 4 Chinese nationals involved in illegal mining on land meant for a school at Obuasi will be appealed by the plaintiffs. They are not satisfied with the court's failure to grant some reliefs, including monetary compensation and reclamation of land destroyed through the illegal mining. My colleague Ohimin Teria reports on the massive destruction of the environment, including water bodies, by activities of the illegal miners.
A Kumasi High Court on Thursday ruled against 4 Chinese nationals involved in illegal mining activities on a 40-acre land of Obuasi-based Seydou Fonzia School. The court found Wen Xin Li, Wang Xinzhong, Li Dihao, and Lan Hansong guilty of using fraudulent means to validate their stay and working without the required permits. The court therefore ordered their deportation. The plaintiffs in the case, however, sought monetary compensation and reclamation of the mined lands, among other reliefs, which were not honored by the court. Kwapi Ahene, Nana Jamra Uyiakwan, is one of the plaintiffs. He commended the presiding judge, His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Senyo Amedahe, for the professional handling of the case. But he expected more from the court.
High Court 1 Kumasi. High Court judge na first discharging the duties now. I am professional because on my Yamu said first or in a Juma as a Ghanaian, na judgment no na fair. The fan baby and a developers no I'm favor am. I don't think I'm person Musaya appeal. Yem this stay to China for no so.
Back in Obuasi, the news team observed extensive damage caused by activities of the illegal Chinese immigrants and their Ghanaian collaborators at the Plush Airport residential area. The distance between the last building and the mining site is about 20 meters. Not only have their operations caused destruction to the environment, but also destroyed and diverted water bodies as they mined in the course of the Fina and Apunapuno streams.
This is the Fina River. It looks dirty and brownish. The river has had its course diverted. It has now been reduced to the size of ordinary gutter. This stream here serves communities in Obuasi municipality and Amansia Central District of Ashanti region.
Locals who depend on the streams for vegetable farming lament they are unable to use the heavily polluted water from the streams for farming activities. 41-year-old Kwabena Kwachi, an Adase-based vegetable producer, is one of the affected farmers.
I'm saying about Hanny, I say. I mean, I could do money into me. If you are saying to me, I been a maker. And I say, body you could do money, Bogu for my dad, I didn't supine money swinging another.
The mining activities of the Chinese and their Ghanaian collaborators have also affected an oil palm plantation under the One District, One Factory project being undertaken by the Palm Oil Company at Adase. Officials say 20 acres of land prepared for plantation were seized by the illegal miners, disrupting its planting program. Kwame Bwedi is a foreman at the Palm Oil Company.
Asasiwe, One District, One Factory, Daha, you do me. Assassinate 1,000 acres. You do been till last year. I had doy. See a baby near me, Palm Oil Company. And Jumedi in ye. Me buy an affidavit, the excavator be here. Me ya Pam almost woman comes to Debbie. Me yeah. Chimacho Funina Baha. A man to Cockressy see her.
From Obuasi, for Joy News, JoyNews reporting.
Now, the Ghana police says the reasons given by the Fix the Country campaigners for a need to hit the street to demand better living conditions are not compelling. This is contained in an affidavit in support of a motion filed at the High Court seeking to restrain the protesters from embarking on the street protest. A planned May 9 protest was scuttled as the police secured a court order barring any protest till the COVID-19 restrictions on public gatherings are lifted. But the order was set aside by the Supreme Court yesterday as it ruled that it was contrary to law. Members of the Fix the Country movement, Ernesto Yeboah, is asking the police to withdraw its statement as he insists they will go ahead with the protest.
We are not going to respond to an incompetent statement. That you are not going to get from us. Madam, if you are thinking, if she really wants our response or really wants to show the people of Ghana that they have some maximum or minimum amount of respect for us, then they should withdraw the statement, correct their grammatical errors, whatever it is, and then bring it back to the public domain. They are Ghana Police Service, not the party police service. So this thing about making excuses for them, Ghanaians deserve better. When we say fix the country, these are some of the things that we are talking about, where some of these incompetencies, imagine this happened elsewhere. Those democracies that we look up, would they take it lightly? Would the media take it lightly? Would the public take it lightly? Certainly not. So, Madam, if you are thinking, if she wants to be taken serious together with the Ghana Police Service, then it needs fixing. I mean, the statement needs fixing. That's what we have to say about it.
What's next for your protest?
Well, we are awaiting the direction of our legal team, and once they call, we would complexify it by also looking at the other factors that need to be brought on board, the psychological factors, social factors, cultural factors, and then we would announce the date for the protest. As for the protest, let me state here and now that nobody, no institution, no individual can stop the protest from happening. Not the executive, not the judiciary, not the legislature, in fact, not the police.
That's Ernesto Yeboah, a member of the Fix the Country pressure group. Let's now hear from the police. DSP Efiatenge speaks for the Accra region of the police service.
Why? Because the substantive case as to the merits the police put forth before the court is yet to be heard. And so if they have any resentment on the statement that...
Please speak up, ma'am. DSP, please speak up.
On the 14th, when we go to the court, that is where they need to respond to what the police has already made to the court.
They say there are errors in your statements that you released, the statements you signed. Have you taken note of these errors?
Yes, I don't know which particular errors Ernesto is referring to. I don't know where he is pointing out to those errors. And I don't know whether you yourself has also determined anything. I think that the paragraph 3 that was in the statement, that the paragraph 3 of the statement, what the police sought to do was to refer directly to their relief that they apply to the court. Probably what we are seeing there in the text paragraph probably should have been in quotation marks to indicate that those were the direct relief the convenience applies to the court. I don't know if that is what he is talking about. Otherwise, the police do not see any error in that.
DSP Efiatenge speaks for the Accra Region Police. The Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana has refused to return to work after the National Labour Commission ordered them to do so. The National Labour Commission says the striking workers must return to work as government tries to resolve their claims. JoyNews checks today at the University of Ghana Basic School revealed that the school is using FUSAC teachers, interns and national service personnel to manage the system while the substantive teachers are away. My colleague Kweku Asante reports.
More than 24 hours after the National Labour Commission ordered striking Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana to return to work, members of the association were yet to return to the classroom at the time of filing this report. The Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana have declared an indefinite strike over what it describes as poor conditions of service. But the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofusu Asamoah, insists majority of the demands of the workers have been met.
To resolve the problem, it is unfortunate that one party will decide to go on strike, especially when in the course of negotiation, some of the issues have been resolved.
JoyNews checks Wednesday at the University of Ghana Basic School showed that the school was relying on FUSAC teachers, interns and national service persons. Headmaster of the University of Ghana Basic School, Mr. Alfred Kujo Alote, says the strike is affecting the smooth operation of the school.
It was an initial strike action where we had to close down for about 3 weeks. And so we felt that pushing away the academic calendar for another number of weeks was going to actually put our activities into disarray. So what we did as a stopgap measure was to deploy a certain category of teachers into the classrooms. And so, as I had mentioned earlier, we are using our teachers who belong to FUSAC. We are using class assistants. By class assistants, I mean some category of staff that have diploma in basic education, and we've taken on as assistants for the KG department and class 1. So they are handling the classes in the absence of the substantive teachers. We're also using national service personnel who are with us.
and also student teachers from University of Education, University of Cape Coast, and University of Ghana. It was really biting. I mean, it's hitting us in terms of supervision of children and all that. The service person aren't many, and so it's a bit difficult.
The headmaster also wants government to speedily resolve the concerns of the association so the members can return to the classroom.
Would also want to add that probably the government quickens its reaction to whatever thing they are requesting for. And I think that when that is done, it will help all of us in the system. And so we only, as I said, we are adding our voice to their request so the government will meet their request as early as possible. That will resume and have the full complement of staff.
Students at the K University Basic School, for instance, have had to stay home as a result of the strike, whilst at the UCC Basic School, students have been idling due to the unavailability of teachers.
The strike has affected our teachers, and some of them are not even coming to school. So I will appeal to the government that they should try and stop the strike and pay them with their money so that we can get learning effective.
The teachers are gone, and as we are in the class, we are not doing anything. All we are doing is fooling, and one day will not get any job to do.
I couldn't help that one. Okay. Well, we understand the leadership of the Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana have been meeting with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and the National Labour Commission on this matter. Joining us on phone is Zakaria Mohammed. He's the national president for the association. Mr. Mohammed, thank you for your time. Good afternoon. Have you agreed on anything at this meeting yet?
Yes, thank you so much, Gifty, for having me. Yeah, we just closed from the meeting, and I think that we have had a fruitful discussion, and everything has gone on well. We will be speaking to the National Executive Council because our laws do not permit us to immediately disclose what transpires until we communicate to the National Executive Council. But I can tell you on authority that things have gone on well, and we are very satisfied with it.
If you say things have gone on well, it means to me
what it means is that there were agreements, and the agreements have been taken in good faith, and that going forward, things will be managed better.
What it means is that you have reached a compromise, not that perhaps all that you wanted has been given.
We have reached a compromise, and we will be communicating to the National Executive Council. And tomorrow, God willing, we are sending a communique. We'll be sending a communique to the media. There will be a press conference to be addressed by the National Executive Council. And then we'll open everything that transpired there and let the media and the people of Ghana appreciate what transpired between us and the team that we have made.
Why did you not?
Both at the Fair Wages and Salary Commission level and at the National Labour Commission level.
Why did you initially defy the orders by the National Labour Commission to go back to work?
There was no order by the National Labour Commission. The order that came was only yesterday, I believe so. Or there were other orders that we have no knowledge that you had. Because what we saw was what they wrote to us yesterday, inviting us and directing us to call off the strike and to appear before the commission. And I'm saying that that meeting has occurred and changes have been very positive. And we are very satisfied. We have reached compromises.
Well, we're told this afternoon by our checks, my colleagues have been checking that they're using FOSAG members to teach, and they're using national service personnel as well because of this.
It's true. I've also gone around. I'm currently on Legon campus. I've gone to the basic school. I've met with the headmaster. We have had discussions. I've had conversation with the students, and we all saw what is happening in the various basic schools. That is true. They are using FOSAG and they are using national service. But that is not still, they are not still satisfied with the way and manner the senior staff are not available because they did not pay fees to be taught by national service personnel. They paid their fees to be taught by professional teachers who have been employed to do the bidding and not a substitute. And I think that based on the fruitful discussion that transpired between us and the Fair Wages and Salary Commission and that of the National Labour Commission, I think that we have reached compromises. And going forward, after briefing the National Executive Council this night, tomorrow we will organize a press conference and probably let the Ghanaians appreciate what really transpired.
And from there, you go back to the classrooms, I suppose.
That is all I can tell you for now.
I mean, at the end of the day, you had the little girl talk. I don't know if you had the little girl who was just talking before you came in. You heard what she said?
Yes, I heard it. I was quiet and I was listening, and I was touched. I was very touched. And I'm saying that when tomorrow we meet you, the media, something positive will come out. And then all of us going forward will be satisfied. And the people of Ghana will be satisfied. Our member will be satisfied. And Ghana will live.
I don't mean to push you, but when you say there will be a press conference and everybody will be satisfied, the impression it gives me is that you are going back to the classroom.
If they will meet tomorrow and they will open the Pandora box.
Very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Zakaria Mohammed, there, who just talked to us. Well, hopefully they will be going back to the classroom. That's my inference from what he has just said. But he says to wait till tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Now, for the first time in Ghana, doctors at Rich Hospital are gearing up to separate a set of identical male twins who were born conjoined at the head. The groundbreaking separation process is expected to last between 12 and 18 months, and the twins who were born 2 months ago are not expected to be discharged from hospital before their second birthday. Super Morning Show host Kojo Yangson traveled to a small township on the Nsawam Road to meet the family of the Bansa Siamese twins and to discover where they will be living after they are surgically separated.
With academic calendar.
Apologies for that. We'll bring you that story shortly. Let me just read to you some of your messages that have come in on the back of the stories that we've done so far. This one says, we've gotten to a point where nothing surprises me again in this country. It seems our leaders are far better in a position than when they are in office. They spend money anyhow because it's not their pocket money. At the end of the day, nobody gets punished. Achim Krachi, watching live from Ekunfi Otom. Greetings to everybody in Ekunfi Otom, Mr. Acher. Or maybe it's a woman. Greetings to you from wherever you are. This one says, good afternoon, Gifty. The issue of Sputnik V should be investigated deeply and perpetrators severely punished to serve as deterrent to those who will want to follow suit. Health Ministry should respond quickly. From Seto in Goso and the Ahafo region. Seto, the Health Ministry says they will be issuing a press statement. We are waiting for that patiently to come through. This one says, how can a whole country need a middleman before it can buy a vaccine for its citizens, if not fraud and corrupt leaders leading this country? Fix the country now. That's the hashtag, fix the country. And now let me take a final one and then we'll bring you that story shortly. This one says, good afternoon, Gifty. Why can't we have the police roaming the streets with their cars or motorbikes to curb some of these happenings? Fifi, you send this from Ashoman Estate, and I think you're talking about the broad day light robbery that we reported on from Pig Farm. Let's bring you the story about the Siamese twins. Kojo Yangson reports.
And we are also plenty in the room. We sleep half side and our things to are half side. When they give light off, the room gets hot.
A small 3-meter square room with one bed and no ceiling. This is the hot, cramped space in which Samuel Addo has lived with his wife Justine Bansa and 3 children for the past 17 years. Almost a year ago, they discovered that they were expecting another baby. The family was excited but worried about their living conditions. Imagine their shock on delivery day when a last-minute scan showed they were actually having twins.
I'm going to hospital, but they told me I'll do a scan twice, but they really said it is twins. So the day that I was born, before the doctor said, oh, my stomach is too big, so I should go for another scan. The time that I went there, they said it is only one. And the doctor said, no, if it is one, I can't give birth, so they will do me CS And I don't like CS, so I said no. If they have told me that if I didn't like CS, they would transfer me to Kolebu. And I tell them that, okay, if it is like that, I'll do it. And the doctor sent me back again. I should go for another scan again. The time that I went the second one, before they said that they are twins.
But the biggest bombshell was still to come. When Samuel and Justine's fourth and fifth children were born, Siamese twins, conjoined at the head.
When first like that, I was thinking, did I make something wrong, or did I commit any crime or something like that? But the doctors told me that it happened. So it's not like an old mother's or somebody who do that thing to me. It has happened.
Now, Samuel and Justine are faced with the seemingly insurmountable challenge of finding no less than 3 million Ghana cedis to pay for the crucial surgery to separate their sons. For a carpenter and his seamstress wife, this is a tall order, to say the least.
The cost is quite expensive and very relative. When we did our search, this kind of cost between 1.5 million to 4.6 million dollars out there. And when we did the local cost to see, it came around 3 million Ghana cedis, which is almost $500,000.
Today, I have come to Midia on the Accra and Sawam Road. I want to learn more about the family of these special babies and what hopes, if any, they have of raising the money needed for their surgery.
Almost 3 weeks I'm not working again because of the situation. How the condition is now, I can't work because my pressure is too high. The time that this thing happened, I've already spent all my money.
Samuel and Justine's two older children, Richard and Rebecca, are 22 and 15 years old, respectively. They tell me of the trauma on seeing their conjoined brothers for the first time and their hope that help will come.
When I saw them for the first time, I think it was a crime my mom and my dad committed. But after my mom explained everything, I saw that it was normal.
In fact, the first moment my father told me this, actually I don't believe him until I went there, then seeing the surrounding. In fact, it was a bit, I don't even know what to say. So we went to this one, the first time that I entered, when I saw that they were in pain, and in fact, it was so sorrowful. It was so emotional.
I'm worried. I'm worried that maybe we might lose one, or maybe we might lose the two.
As they say they can do it, I know they can do it with the help of the Lord. Everything can be possible.
So you have faith that
I have faith in God.
Well.
The whole community is baffled by the twins' predicament, but they offer their support and all speak fondly of the family, even their landlady.
My former seven back.
I live with them as if they are my own children. They are good people. I even leave my keys with them whenever I travel.
That cause can't tell, but what me I know that maybe it will be a spiritual problem or nature.
We heard that they are twins, but they are joined together. We don't know what would have caused such a thing. I visited them at the hospital. The mother was crying. I told her not to worry. Everything's going to be all right. So she should cheer up.
The union of the Bansa twins has forged unity in this small community as they rise to support their own. Now, together, they hope the nation will unite in generosity as the race to find 3 million Ghana cedis for life-saving surgery begins. For JoyNews, my name is Kojo Yankson.
And we're open to accept any donation for these kits and for the procedure. Now, across Europe, the pandemic is receding and people are starting to see some semblance of normality return. Yet the optimism is the cautious kind, and governments are facing the dual challenge of meeting their vaccination responsibilities both for their populations and those around the world. Let's get more from William Glucroft in Berlin. He's correspondent with our partners, Deutsche Welle. William, how are things where you are?
Well, summer has finally arrived to Germany and all around Europe, and people want to get out to enjoy it. And the pandemic for now seems to be cooperating. All the bad numbers are down. Infections, hospitalizations, deaths, and the good numbers, vaccinations, are up. At least 46% of people in Germany have at least one dose. About half of that, they're fully vaccinated. And similar numbers are all around Europe, and that's allowing places to open up. Of course, it's different all around Germany and even all around Europe, of course, but generally restaurants and places to drink and eat, they're open, even for seating inside with tests. Mask use, of course, is still required on public transport and generally out in public. And of course, employers still have to, at least here in Berlin, have to allow working from home, and they have to allow employees to be able to get tested for those who have to come in. So a lot of progress being made, but still a lot left to go.
What concerns then remain for the officials there?
Well, we were here last year, of course, when the incidence rate went down, where things seemed to be more relaxed, only to get hit again with the second and third waves in the fall and the winter months. So officials don't want to repeat that now that people are getting out, going to travel more. Rules are relaxing. And it's important to note that although the numbers are down, way down from what we saw over the winter, they're still higher than this point last year when there was that lull. They're actually about where they were in parts of the first wave that, of course, shut down so much of Germany and Europe. So it really is a matter of perspective. It is all relative, of course. Things feel good in comparison to those dark days in the winter, but we're still not where we need to be.
What attention is vaccine distribution getting for other parts of the world from your perspective?
That's right. Now that things seem to be more relaxed here, more open, things to be going in a good way, especially with vaccinations here in Germany and across Europe, there's even more pressure for rich countries to be helping lower and middle income countries get the vaccines they need to end the pandemic everywhere, not just here. The WHO, for example, says that 75% of all doses worldwide have gone to just 10 countries, with less than 1% going to lower income countries, countries with low GDP. And they want, of course, to change that primarily through COVAX, the initiative to get vaccines to lower and middle income countries. There was, of course, a donor conference recently where they raised a surprising $2.4 billion, more than they were expecting, which was very good for COVAX. They think they can get enough doses to at least cover 30% of populations in 91 countries by early 2022 at the latest. But again, there's a lot of short-term shortfalls that have to be made up, especially with India having supply problems in its own country to take care of. There's hundreds of millions of doses still left to get to COVAX, to those lower and middle income countries. And Europe needs to step up and make sure that it is fulfilling its responsibilities and fulfilling its pledges that it's giving.
William, thank you very much. William Glucroft there. He's correspondent with our partners DW Deutsche Welle, and he's joining us all the way from Berlin in Germany. Away from Germany, let's head to Burkina Faso. President Akufo-Addo is currently in the country as he holds discussions with President Kabore on the terrorist threats confronting that country and the region as a whole. About 160 people in a village raid in Burkina Faso by unknown militant killed those people. And the situation in West Africa currently is extremely volatile as persistent attacks continue to undermine the peace and security across the region. It is against this background that President Akufo-Addo has embarked on the trip to reiterate the commitment of ECOWAS towards assisting Burkina Faso out of the situation.
In both capacities, I'm here to express the solidarity of the ECOWAS community and the Ghanaian people by the events that have taken place recently in Burkina Faso. It is obvious that if we don't all stand together, we risk the possibility that these terrorists will overrun our various states, and that we cannot allow to happen. So I came here to express to you and to the people of Burkina Faso the deep condolences and solidarity and sympathy of the ECOWAS peoples and of the Ghanaian people who I have the honor to lead at the moment. It's important that at this difficult moment in the life of Burkina Faso, you know that you are not alone and that you have friends who will stand beside you, with you, to make sure that as soon as possible, we get rid of these people who are determined to destroy our way of life in our community.
President Akufo-Addo there in Burkina Faso. I want to take a very quick break, but some of your messages here. Aziz Donla from WA, hashtag fix the country now. He says the daylight robbery is unacceptable and unfortunate. In fact, the lackadaisical approach to fighting illegal mining in this country is what is causing us as a nation. Fighting illegal activities of Galamsey is not about big grammar, but full commitment from government. Donla, thank you very much for your message there. This one says, Thomas is texting from Nalerugu. Says, was the Ministry of Health not aware that the procurement of the Sputnik vaccine was to be dealt with through a middleman? The ministry should better buy at that price or quickly source funds from the organizations, NGOs, etc., in order to avoid more COVID-19 cases. Thomas, thank you very much for your message as well. This one says the government has not paid compensation to health workers in Bono East region. This message keeps coming in every single day. So Bono Region Health Directorate, there are calls for the compensation to be paid health workers there. Kindly respond to these calls. Gifty, please, where is Ibrahim Anyas? I don't think he's aware we NAPCO trainees have not been paid for 3 months now. Okay, so a lot of issues about payment of workers there. This one is asking for, you want to get in touch with the leaders of Operation HALT. And this one says, I am not sure about the amount mentioned in the purchase of the Sputnik V vaccine. The transportation is included. If not, this is outrageous. Bisa Man from Tamale. Thank you for sending in your messages. Most of you talking about the Sputnik V and expecting the Ministry of Health to come up with some explanations. Hopefully we will get that. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back. We'll be doing sports shortly, but before that, 23-year-old Linda Ajay sustained various degrees of burns after her husband allegedly poured hot water on her. Linda was abandoned at the hospital for local treatment due to her inability to pay medical bills. Let's go to the community of Odumase Basare, Accra, in the OT region for this report, read to you by Latif Idris.
The 23-year-old woman, Linda J, sustained various degrees of injuries after her husband allegedly threw hot water on her. Unfortunately, she's had to leave the Nkwanta South Municipal Government Hospital, where she was receiving treatment because her family says it can no longer afford the bills. The family says it has already borrowed an amount of 1,500 cedis, which has to be paid with interest. The suspect in this case, Naru Yakubu, is still at large. Linda J, who is battling pains, appeals to the general public for support to enable her undergo proper treatment and also pay the hospital bills she owes.
Because he knows there's no family relation to protect my interest, he's been maltreating me. I appeal to the general public to help me take care of this condition.
The younger brother of the victim, Nuruddin Ajay, has appealed to the police to speed up investigations and arrest the suspect involved.
This isn't the first time. I remember the last time I visited my sister, not only had she been physically assaulted, he had also failed to provide her with food. We appeal to the police to fast-track the investigation process.
He's also appealed to the public for financial support.
Gary L. Smith is standing by with sports. We're going to talk showbiz now, which is how we wrap up the entire show. But there is more news at myjoyonline.com. Hop onto that website and take a look at our stories. I'll not recuse myself. Justice Onyanuga to Opuni is our top story right there. You can click on it and you get the chance to share it. Your immunity is not absolute. Speaker is telling the members of Parliament. That's a story we brought to you. And you see all those links there, you can share. Asin North MP yet to be served a week after court. Our story is obviously linked to the Speaker's concerns that was raised today, and you see all the links there, social media handles through which you can share our stories with the rest of your contacts, so they are updated and they know what's going on. My name is Gifty Amdopia. God willing, we'll be here again tomorrow. Let's do it together. Many thanks for your time. Enjoy.